if the truth can be used for a flotation device. So join me in welcoming our brother, your brother, brother, student, professor, minister, Ilia Rashad.
Thank you, yes,
Oh, what an opening, brother. Thank you, brother. Assalamu alaikum. My goodness, what a spectacular opening. Let us begin. In the most holy name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, the all-wise, true, and living God, who is foretold in all of the scriptures that he would make his appearance, that he would come, and his coming and his presence would not be in the form of any type of spirit or apparition. Rather, his presence, his coming, his arrival would literally be as a human being. We in the Nation of Islam are those who actually recognize God's promise as he promised he would arrive in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And we thank God for his intervention in our affairs and raising up among us the man who would become the Messiah figure. That the world has been awaiting.
Yes, sir.
Now that's big right there.
Yes, sir.
And that man that I speak of is a heavily misunderstood man, a man who to this day the world has yet to realize the value of, and that is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. And we have never been given the truth about this wonderful, powerful, divine man in our public schools, in society, certainly not in churches, and not even in the masjids of the world. So we thank God and we thank the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for preparing one who would become the other part of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the other part of God's will among us today, and that is our champion of truth. He's the other part of that messianic representation, and that man I speak of is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. With that being said, dear brothers and sisters here in Whitehaven, let me greet you again with the greeting words of peace of Assalamu alaikum. Man, I'm so excited. What a wonderful opening that Brother Bridge gave. Y'all give that brother a round of applause. And it really is so beautiful to have people that have seen you and watched you and helped you come up in this work, this divine work, to do their part and then almost kind of step back and let Allah kind of keep developing people. So it's people like Brother Bridge that I and Brother Dimitri can extend a lot of love to because of their very brotherly assistance in this divine cause. I want to thank, of course, him, Brother Tim, those of you here in the Whitehaven Study Group. Appreciate my brother, Brother Dimitri, who's somewhere in upstate New York right now.
That's right.
Very appreciative of our local minister of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, Student Minister Abdul Muthakir Muhammad, all of whom are facilitators in helping raise the dead in the city of the dead. And certainly want to thank you for the invitation to be here. I'm very excited because we do have a very, very powerful subject that we want to get over to you. Dear family, our subject matter that we have is titled The Lord of Hosts.
Come on.
The Lord of Hosts, which is a term that I'm certain you've heard, you've read it several times in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament. You've heard the pastor use that term as he's quoting scriptures, thus and thus saith the Lord of Hosts.
Yes, sir.
And it's a term that I would hear all the time, not really knowing what it truly means. And we're going to get into that but it is this Lord of hosts that has been prophesied to come that literally serves as a threat to U.S. national security.
Come on, come on.
Now, you may be thinking, hold up, brother. How is it that the scriptures and the prophecies in the scriptures that everybody should be excited about? We should be excited that God would intervene in the affairs. This Lord of hosts mentioned throughout the Bible and in all the prophecies. We would think that, whoa, finally the Lord has arrived. Time for the earth. Time for us to, be saved and peace can flourish throughout the earth. But yes, it's true for you to look at it like that.
Come on.
But those who run this, those who control governments and political powers and influence the economies and financial markets of the world, those who control and influence education and media and the information that the people receive, these are the deceivers of the world. Hence they are called in the scriptures as the arch deceiver.
That's right.
They are called in the scriptures as the god of this world. Satan, who is the god of this world, who blinds the minds of the people, making them disbelieve. So these are the ones who find God's arrival as an absolute threat. And since the United States is the world's superpower, since the United States of America has been and is the citadel of white world supremacy, they are most threatened by the presence of the God who's been promised to come.
Come on.
So our subject is the Lord of hosts, a threat to U.S. national security. I want to quote some words from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad from the Message to the Black Man, which is a book we should all have. This is in the chapter called The Great Decisive Battle in the Sky. Listen to these words from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He says that the devils, let me stop right there. So when we in the Nation of Islam talk about the devil, Satan, all of that, we're not talking about some imaginary being
Come on.
underground somewhere.
No, sir.
We are very realistic. We are thinkers in the Nation of Islam.
That's right.
So when we talk about and read about devils, we understand that these are a certain type of people.
That's right.
Certain type of people who have tremendous influence over world affairs, and they use their influence to oppose God and the way of God and the people of God.
That's right.
The devils.
That's right.
Let's move forward.
Yes, sir.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad states that the devils see the end of their world.
Yes, sir.
And they see the signs of the Son of Man coming in the sky with power and great glory. And in parentheses, he says the great Ezekiel's wheel and the unity of the Muslim world and the distress of nations.
Distress. Come on.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in that little sentence, and that's one sentence right there, by the way. In that one sentence, he has capsulized what's going on in the world today with these white Western powers and military powers of the world all frantic over these planes and crafts that they don't control, that they call the UFO phenomena, which is not only a matter of national security for America, but all the major countries and governments and militaries of the world. This is a top priority.
Yes, sir.
And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad answers and puts it all into perspective in that one sentence. The devils see the end of their world. See, and they're afraid. And they see the signs of the Son of Man coming in the sky with power and great glory. See, this is military warfare we're talking about right here.
Sir.
We're talking about the Air Force and all of these navies and Marines and armies of the world who are frantic over the reality of these crafts. They call them UAP and UFOs and anomalous aerial phenomena that they are baffled over because they have witnessed firsthand the clearly superior power of these crafts over everything that they have.
That's right. That's right.
So the devil see the end of their world.
Come on.
What signifies the end of their world? It's the signs of the Son of Man.
Yes, sir.
Not some spook, but a real God with his heavenly aircraft that actually flies in the sky.
Come on. Come on, man.
Look, we're talking about a realistic God right here.
Yes, sir.
Now, in religion, you see all these scriptures in the Old and New Testament about this Son of Man coming in the clouds, in the skies, and whatnot. But religion has been so spooked out that it is so abstract that you and nobody in religion can even explain it.
That's right.
That's why they are always left with the saying, well, I just believe it.
I just believe it. That's right. That's right.
You believe in that which makes no sense at all.
Come on.
We in the Nation of Islam call that spookism.
Yes, that's right. Keep on that spook.
Spookism is a term really coined by the Nation of Islam that refers to this intense belief in the non-existent.
Come on.
This belief and commitment to that which does not even exist.
That's right.
Yeah, we committed to it too.
That's right.
You come in here talking this kind of talk in Memphis, hell, anywhere in this day and time, people in religion will fight you
Yes, sir.
over telling you that God is real and showing you real world evidence of it. They're like, hell no, let me hold on to my imaginary belief.
That's right. That's right.
Let me hold on to my idea of the Son of Man being in the clouds, or however that works out.
That's right. That's right. Come on.
Come on.
But the real world fulfillment of it, I don't want to hear none of that.
None of that. Come
Don't come giving me facts. Don't come showing me evidence. Don't come providing documentation.
Come on, man.
Don't make me think.
Yes, sir.
Let me just believe in my spook God,
That's right.
who doesn't require no responsibilities from me.
That's right.
I can do whatever I want as long as I believe.
That's right. Come on.
I just said, Lord, forgive me. I praise the Lord and all that kind of stuff, and I'm saved, sanctified, and filled because I confess with my tongue. See? See how religion does?
Yes, sir.
And it's not just Christian. Look, the Muslim world kind of like that too now.
Come on, man. Come on.
Spooked out.
That's right.
Way out.
Yeah. But the devil see the end of their world.
Yes, sir.
And they see the end of their world because it is signified by the Son of Man. This presence of God in the sky with power and great glory. He specifies the great Ezekiel's will and the unity of the Muslim world and the distress of nations. This is what all this hoopla is about. All this hoopla in Congress, in the Senate, in the executive branches of government, the militaries. What we gonna do? What can we do about this? And what the hell would we do if the people found out the truth about these planes? That causes distress among nations.
Yes, yes.
And it's interesting because they pretend as though they don't know who or what these planes are. But the truth is, those in the highest echelons of government and military intelligence are well aware as to the truth about these planes, and they know it has nothing to do with aliens. They know it has nothing to do with some spirits or extraterrestrials visiting Earth. They know it has nothing to do with some Anunnaki and all of these theories that's popping up. They know since they arrested and interrogated the Honorable Elijah Muhammad back in 1942. They've known since then because he's the one that gave the U.S. government their first primary intel about these crafts. Documented. Actual fact. You won't find no damn historical researcher or UFO researcher on the planet who is bold enough to even question us on this reality. So we start talking pretty bold, as you can see. You know, I'll tell you, the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, it'll give you so much confidence, boy, I tell you. You start talking stuff to world powers. You might be broke. You might be a little school teacher somewhere, Brother Bridge, but you talking to world powers and scholars all over the world and then got them running and scared of you to talk to you. You know what that does to somebody's confidence? Ooh, good Lord. And don't start traveling the country and seeing how people start reacting, Brother Tim.
Come on, man. Come on.
Another story for another time. But long story short, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan are 1,000% right and exact, and we would be wise to stand with and follow them. Long story short. But this is what has brought about the distress of nation. And it all goes back to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. This is the origin of the modern day UFO phenomena. This is what they, when I say they, I'm talking about those devils again, who run media, who run politics, influence the financial markets, influence educational curriculum, those powerful personnel in all of these major industries who know that the UFO phenomena is a primary concern because it is really the top priority of national security. But it is part of their national security priorities to make sure that the public does not know the truth about it and its origins with the Nation of Islam. Now, if you are hearing that, you may be coming here and you're like, hold up, man, I did not know I was going to come see what these Muslims talking about, and if they talking about UFOs and spaceships and stuff down there. I ain't never coming back to this place again. No, this is the right spot.
That's right.
Because if you belong to any group, religious or educational, and they can't answer this phenomena, they don't have the truth.
That's right. Come on. Come on. Point blank.
Point blank.
Yes, sir.
So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, long story short, you've heard us teach on it. He, long time ago, in the early 1930s, before the UFO phenomena became a thing, before any mass sightings, before any in major investigations on this phenomena, hell, even before the term UFOs became a thing, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad claims that he met God in person.
That's right.
This is in the early 1930s, and this God in the person of Master Farrakhan Muhammad literally showed Elijah Muhammad this huge aircraft called the mother plane or the mother wheel with its 1,500 smaller disc-shaped, wheel-shaped planes that accompany this mother wheel. Planes that fly at phenomenal speeds, planes that are literally military warcraft of God.
That's right.
In fulfillment of all the promises and prophecies of what God talked about in the first place. All in the scriptures you read about God operating from some heavenly flying vessels.
That's right. Come on. Come on.
Old Testament, New Testament, Holy Quran. You can't get away from it. All of it depicts God and his angels operating in this capacity. But it is always interesting that nobody in religion, nobody in education has the answers to it, but the Nation of Islam gave you the answers and the evidence before you even had questions about it.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Come on, man.
But we want to ignore the source. See, that's that spookism again.
Yes, sir.
You know, in educational psychology, I think they call it cognitive dissonance. You've been hearing that term a lot lately, haven't you? Cognitive dissonance, in short, is kind of like when you would prefer to hold on to beliefs as irrational as they may be, even when truth and facts comes along that usurps or shows that what you believe might not be correct, but you still hold on to your beliefs despite the evidence, despite the facts. Religion today is perhaps the best example of cognitive dissonance. Because when somebody, especially a black man, comes and brings real world evidence that you and nobody else can disprove, you don't want to totally ignore him and the truth he brings just so you can feel comfortable holding on to your belief. And do it in the name of God and in the name of religion. And this is religion in general now. The Muslim world, the Judaic world, the world of Christendom. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that he met God and God showed him this. This is the origin of the modern UFO phenomena. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said of this God and this mother plane, he said that the mother plane and her work is a display of the power of the mightiest God. Mightiest God, Master Father Muhammad, to whom praises are due forever. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad answered the questions about this phenomena before it became a phenomena, and he said that these crafts are the direct result and the work of this God, Master Father Muhammad, whom he described as the mightiest. We hear about this almighty. You know, might has to do with force. Might has to do with power. Might has to do with warfare. We're talking about the Lord of hosts, y'all. A threat to U.S. national security. And this is directly related to all those prophecies in the scriptures that we have been reading. We've been reading not only about God arriving and intervening in human affairs, but we've been reading about why God would come out of hiding all of a sudden. There would be a condition in the world that's unlike any condition in human history that would bring God out of his hiding place and warrant his coming, warrant his arrival, that would prompt his intervention in our affairs.
Yes, sir.
And the condition that would do that would be what happened to his people in what is now known as the transatlantic slave trade.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the aftermath of that, which is still lingering today.
Yes, sir.
This is an event unlike anything in human history. And everybody, the historians, want to downplay it. You notice that when we start getting into the intricacies of how they did us in this unique form of chattel slavery, many of the leaders and people they try to brush it off. They try to downplay it. They try to bring up other people's suffering that don't even compare. Oh, the Jews did this. Nothing that even compares.
No, sir.
Now, granted, everybody has suffered. All people have suffered. There have been people enslaved before, but none of them have undergone this kind of slavery.
That's right.
See, this right here is what brings God out of hiding.
Yes, sir.
This condition is the priority of God
Yes, sir.
in all the scriptures. Huh?
Yes, sir.
In that prophecy we always read about in Genesis, where God promises Abraham that he would come because of what? Because his people have been put in that certain condition.
That's right.
That's what brings God out of hiding, and that's what brings about the resurrection and the judgment of God.
Yes, sir.
You,
That's right. Come on.
the priority of God, and everybody in the world know about it except us. But look at what God says about this. In the book of Jeremiah, the 23rd chapter, around the second verse, this is what he says. He says, "You have caused my people to be dispersed and driven into exile.
Yes.
You have not taken care of them. So I will punish you for the evil that you have done. I, the Lord, affirm it. Ooh. Do I need to read that again?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
That's one heck of a prophecy.
Yes, sir.
That's a promise of God right there.
That's a promise.
Jeremiah 23:2. You have caused my people to be dispersed and driven into exile. You have not taken care of them. See, he's talking to the devil.
That's right.
The real devil.
That's right.
So God says, so I will punish you for the evil that you have done. And I, the Lord, affirm it. I'm promising you this is what I'm going to do.
That's right.
He's already told you what you've done.
That's right.
See, this is what you've done to my people now. You've driven them all over the world in their diaspora. You've corrupted them. You've tortured them. You have not treated them right in the least bit. See, and since you ain't going to do right by them, God damn it, I got to intervene. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to intervene now, and I will punish you for what you did to my people.
Come on, man.
Y'all ever heard a preacher quote this verse right here?
No, sir. No, sir.
Oh, okay. And the Lord God says, I, the Lord, will affirm it. This is the Lord of hosts talking, y'all. So those who know the prophecies are well aware of these things. I'm reminded of that other scripture in the book of Isaiah, the 66th chapter and the 15th verse, where God says, for behold, the Lord will come with fire and with his chariots. Uh-oh. So now God is going to come, and he's coming with some military artillery.
That's right.
Firepower.
That's right.
With his chariots. Like a whirlwind.
Yes, yes.
This is a God that operates in the sky, in the winds, by the way.
Come on.
Why is he coming? He says, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire. You have a God who is promised to come. He is going to come with some heavenly aircraft. He is going to come with military artillery for his people, and he is going to punish those who have put his people in bondage. This is the promise of God consistent throughout the scriptures.
That's right.
Why is it that this is not the theme of what you call the Gospels today?
Come on.
The gospel is supposed to be the good news. Well, hell, what kind of gospel is it if a God can't come answer our problems?
That's right.
What kind of gospel or God is it if it's a God that can't deal with this white man
That's right. That's right.
that you're afraid of?
Break it down. Come on,
See?
man.
Yes, sir.
We're talking in real world times now. We don't need no spookism.
That's right.
Come on.
When you come to the nation of Islam, we're dealing with a real God.
That's right.
That's why you never seen no preachers make the scriptures so relevant.
No, sir.
This is why he is called the Lord of hosts. I would hear that term so much growing up, never knew what it meant. I would hear host, I'm thinking he's like the Lord of hosts, like he's hosting,
Yes, sir.
I don't know, a party, I don't know. Yeah, he's greeting, he's hosting. That's what I thought of when I thought of host. But then, we started doing our little research, and I have some background in linguistics to a degree, and you start looking up the etymological root of these words. And that phrase, the Lord of hosts, mentioned several places throughout the scriptures. It comes from a Hebraic Semitic term, Yahweh Sabah, the Lord of hosts, Yahweh Sabah, which literally means, y'all, the Lord of armies. That's what it talks about when it says the Lord of hosts. He has a host of people, armies, angels, people, armies that flank him and execute his judgment for him. The Lord of hosts, his hosts consist of these chariots and the angels that control these chariots in the sky. So all in the scriptures, when it says thus says the Lord of hosts, it's talking about a God that has military warfare. Think about that, y'all. Again, you ever heard a preacher talk about it like that? Now, we should ask ourselves, why would God need armies? See, we were taught in religion, we were led to believe that God was some, spooky mystery, apparition, or spirit. So you wonder, why would God use or need armies? I think I can answer it. The reason God, this Lord of hosts, is described as having armies, real world armies, is because the God of these armies is real. I'm going to say that again. I know that sounds overly simplistic. The reason God is described as the Lord of hosts, which means the Lord of armies, physical armies with armament, is because he is a real God. He is not some spooky imaginary spirit that does not exist. And to show his power, he, in colloquial terms, flexes his power in the real world to show that his armies, his military warfare, his military crafts are more superior than the militaries of this world. This is what the UFO phenomena is about.
Yes, sir.
All of these armies and militaries around the world have made this a top priority of their national security because these wheels, as we call them, they call them UFOs. These wheels that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad first introduced us to are the ones they have been destabilizing militaries all around the world. Flexing. Just to show their superiority.
Yes, sir.
This has been going on since the 1940s. And now, over the last 15, 20 years, all of these retired military airmen and whatnot have been coming forth telling exactly what has happened. How these wheels, or as they call them UFOs, have shut down the communication systems of their most advanced nuclear air bases.
Come on.
There have been these wheels have destabilized and disassembled some of their nuclear warheads, and they caught it on camera.
Yes.
These wheels have been, again, flexing on all these military bases, the ones that's supposed to be the most secretive. That's why this is the top priority of their national security.
That's right.
Now, you may not be as familiar with all of these accounts because you may not see it come through your timeline.
Yes.
You may not see this on the 5 o'clock news because that's not what they talk about. Matter of fact, you're more concerned about what Diddy did, what Diddy didn't do, and all of this. That kind of takes up the real estate of our mind power, unfortunately. But all of these things are distractive measures to keep us away from the priority of God, which is also the priority of U.S. national security. The reality of these planes, which are the result of God's warcraft that he can and will use for you. That's what the big secret is about. You can never know that there's a real God that loves you so much that he will flex and kill your enemies for you. If you're just coming in, this is what the whole UFO phenomena is about. We're talking about the Lord of hosts, y'all. And that term is used, I think, about 300 some odd times in the Bible. The Lord of armies. Yahweh Saba. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this. See, all these scriptures that we just showed you, these prophecies of God being angry, how he's going to come and render judgment on those people, that nation that has done this to his people. That's what all these prophecies are about. And how God would come with his flying warcraft, described as flying chariots, described as clouds, described in the book of Ezekiel as these wheels that house the throne of God.
Yes, sir.
Wheels that fly.
Come on, man. Come on.
Nobody in religion can answer that except the Nation of Islam.
That's right. That's right.
And they will get on you if you even question us. You ever wonder why they censor us so much? Now, this is arguably the most important truth one could be talking about.
That's right.
Clearly, it's the top priority of U.S. national security.
Come on.
Your taxpayer dollars are going to this very subject. So, in truth, we could argue that this is the most important topic, especially the fact that we can point out that this is the result of God intervening in our affairs.
Yes, sir.
So really, there's no more important topic we could be talking about. But they've kept this as a secret, and they hinder you from even thinking, let alone discussing the subject with us.
That's right. That's right.
Because we answer this. I know it seemed like, this dude just up here bragging. But I have to keep bringing the point over and over again because, if I'm up here and we in the Nation of Islam, you hear us sound almost like we're boasting. But you hear us challenging the intelligence of world scholars to try to contend with us on this subject matter. And you'll notice that there's this apprehension from the leaders and scholars of the world just to even engage us intelligently on these matters. You see? It's the most censored topic. Thinkers are not even allowed to publicly discuss this with us.
That's right.
Another subject, but here's why. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, with all those prophecies, he let us know that, see, the enemy, the devil, they are very familiar with God's prophecies.
That's right.
And when they look at the scriptures, they don't look at it like we do. We get inspired by the scriptures, as we should, and we read the scriptures and we start thinking about all this wonderful stuff that God did and these miracles, and that motivates us.
That's right.
But the enemy, the devil, those scientists, they read the scriptures and the prophecies and they understand it from a scientific perspective. They understand the nature of prophecy better than we do, unfortunately.
Come on.
When they look at these scriptures, they're not entertained like we are. They understand that this is a lot of symbolism and that it is prophecy.
That's right.
As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, 75% of what you read in these scriptures is prophecy,
Come on.
not history.
That's right.
Only 25% is historic.
Yes.
But the bulk, 75% of what you read is prophecy. It's written as though it's like it took place, but no, it's prophecy and heavily symbolic.
Yes.
But the devil understands this, so he reads the scriptures knowing, oh, okay, my time is almost up.
That's right.
Knowing that God is going to intervene in the affairs of humanity, so they're like, we're going to make sure we do what we do, so even when God intervenes, these people are going to be so damn corrupted and foolish, they're not even going to see the light of God. Hell, they're going to fight God with us.
That's right. That's
Because right now, the white man, we their God.
Come on.
Subtly, So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said this in the 50s. He wrote, "The white man of America is well informed through his scientists and scholars." He didn't say preachers. He said through the white man's scientists and scholars who are paid just for studying the problems of prophecy, and especially the future destruction of America, which he knows is fast coming.
Come on. Come on. Oh, what department
those few little scriptures that we just read about God coming to avenge his people and punish those people that put his people in this condition, and he would use his flying chariots to do so. All those kind of prophecies, we spaced out by. We don't know what it means. We just, oh, God is good. That's all we know.
Come on.
White folks, and they've been like this. They know. Okay. Yeah. And they're still like that.
That's right.
That's why this is the top priority of national security. I heard you, Brother Tim, say, what department is that?
That's right.
It goes across the departments. It's multi-agencies. Everybody has their little part. The FBI has their part in it. CIA, the military, all the military branches, government intelligence, and they have what they call exopolitical programs. Exopolitical programs are those type of programs that technically they're not a part of the official government, but it's like an underarm,
Yes, sir.
part
Yes,
of
sir.
the government. Hey, study this, work on this, using black budgets and things like that.
Yes, sir.
So they are, look, it's a priority. That's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, these people, these are scientists and scholars who are paid to study the problems of prophecy, especially as a result, as it relates to the future destruction of America. See, very realistic. Again, when these scientists, they look at prophecy and they're looking at the likelihood of certain things taking place. They're looking at the probability of certain things occurring as the scripture says that they would, based on certain conditions that warrant, that stimulate these things being fulfilled. That's how they look at it. And if we follow the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, you can know prophecy.
That's right. That's right.
Because when you read the scripture with this guidance, you understand. You don't read it with the spookism, in other words. You don't look at it and you just think, oh, in the great by and by, God was good. All this, you read those stories and Moses parted the Red Sea and
Come on, man. Come on, man. Make it real.
See, that's that spookism again, where you look at God as like this magical. But realism, that's why it's so difficult for people to accept the plain truth that the Nation of Islam offers. You can't defeat it.
No, sir.
You really can't argue with it.
No, sir. No,
You just have to utilize your cognitive dissonance and be like, well, I don't like that stuff. I'm going to believe my Jew. You rather believe something's going to come on a white horse.
That's right. Come on.
Flying in the sky with wings.
Come on. Take it.
See? The white man of America knows. The scholars, they're paid studying the problems. Remember that, the problems of prophecy. Because God's prophecy to the devil is a problem.
That's right.
For you, it's salvation.
That's right.
You've been yearning for God to fulfill these prophecies. But for those who control this, who run the world, the power structure, the white man, the devil, however you want to call it, they see this as the problem. This is why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in that first quote that I shared with you, he said how the devils, they're afraid because they see the signs of the Son of Man appearing in the sky with great power. So the enemy always knew that a divine phenomena would arrive that would disrupt their power. The white man always knew this.
That's right.
When I say the white man, I'm talking about those, the leadership class of white folks. Very wise and keen men. Founding fathers, all of them.
That's right.
They knew, especially in the mix of slavery, they knew, man, this, oh yeah, this going to catch up. So Thomas Jefferson, a wise man, very learned man. He was a Shriner, Freemason Shriner, which He read the Quran.
Come on.
You know, he was a very enlightened man. He and that whole class, they were what are called deists.
Yes, sir.
They believed in God, but they didn't believe in no, you know,
No, sir.
the religious kind of way. Even then, they were somewhat scientific in how they viewed God.
Yes.
And so these deists, like Thomas Jefferson in 1784 is known for this quote. Remember, the white man, they knew something that God would intervene. Thomas Jefferson said this famous quote, "Indeed, I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just." I tremble. I'm scared for my country, this white power. This is in the 1700s. When I reflect that God is just, that his justice cannot sleep forever. This stuff going to catch up with us now. Now, this is in the midst of slavery.
Yes, sir.
He says that considering numbers, nature, and natural means only, a revolution of the wheel of fortune, an exchange of situation is among possible events. This is some heavy stuff now. He's saying that, look, some type of revolution is going to take place some kind of way. And there may be an exchange of this situation. What's the situation? Slavery.
That's right.
White folks the masters, black folks the slaves.
Come on.
If God is just, and he is, justice means you get what you deserve.
That's right.
Fair treatment.
Come on.
So he's saying based on the law of justice, the law of God, ain't no way we can continue with this.
Come on, man.
There's going to be something, some type of exchange or situation, and these folks going to turn on us
That's right.
and likely enslave us
That's right. Come on.
for all the crap we doing to them.
Come on.
He continues. He said that exchange of situation is among possible events, that it may become probable by supernatural interference.
Come on. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Come on.
See, again, these are wise men. These are like scientists and scholars, very learned men. They're saying, they're projecting, this is going to catch up with us. It's going to likely be some type of change of event. I don't know exactly how it's going to take place, but it may occur through some supernatural interference.
Yes.
See, the intervention of God.
Yes, sir.
The promise of God intervening in our affairs to interfere with white world powers. He ends by that statement by saying, the Almighty has no attribute which can take side with us in such a contest.
Wow.
The Almighty God that we read about, regardless of what your religion is, if this God is just, and he has to be, ain't no characteristic or attribute that God has that would take the side of the white man on this matter.
That's right. That's right.
They know this. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was 1,000% correct.
Yes, sir.
White man has always had people to study the problems of prophecy in a scientific way. And their job, and that's why they consider it a problem, because if you ever wake up to the truth of who you are,
Right.
their world is over with.
Yes, sir.
So the whole existence, the whole power base of this world is contingent upon you not waking up.
That's right. Look at that.
Contingent upon you not knowing this specific truth revealed by God to the most honorable Elijah Muhammad for us.
Come on, man.
That is the truth that Minister Farrakhan bears for us. So Thomas Jefferson, like all the founding fathers, like the American white man today, their powers, they've always known that God would intervene in our affairs.
Yes, sir.
As Thomas Jefferson stated, maybe by some supernatural interference. See?
Supernatural.
This is the mindset of them. This is what they've been expecting. This is why in the FBI counterintelligence program files under J. Edgar Hoover, all throughout the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and up to this day, part of their primary objectives, as they stated, was to prevent the rise of a Messiah.
Come on.
Who would do what? They specify who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement.
Come on.
These people are studying the prophecies, the science of prophecy, which they consider a problem. So why is it that the FBI, federal government agencies now, are using biblical prophetic terminology to describe one that God would use to help bring down Satan's world, the Messiah?
Come on.
See, the enemy understands that the Messiah is going to come up out of you because your condition is the only condition in the world that warrants the Messiah.
Yes, sir.
They know this. They know who you are.
Yes, sir.
Make sure you don't know who you are. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, brother.
Praise is due to Allah. So prevent the rise of a Messiah. They are preventive. They're taking preventive measures. We want to make sure that these folks are in a condition, they so corrupted, so messed up, so spooked out by the religions we gave them, by the miseducation we gave them, by the false hope that we gave them in our political and judicial system, that when God intervenes and gives proof of his presence, you still ain't going to follow it.
That's right. That's right.
Am I lying?
No, sir.
We in 2024, about to be 2025. This is the truth that Brother Ilia Rashad is sharing on behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that represents total salvation, real world salvation for us as a people. But who in this room?
Come on.
Real.
Come on.
Hello, son.
Huh? Now, you would think, oh man, this needs to be on national news or
That's right.
something, you know? You would think this is, let's at least have some debate, some panel discussions.
That's
Man, you better not talk about it.
Better not even bring it up.
But it is also a testament of the condition that we've been put in.
That's true.
Good people. People of God,
Yes.
even the worst among us. We got love for God. We believe in God.
That's right.
You know we the people of God. We just been so corrupted that we don't recognize him. Because we've now developed our own ideas of God.
Yes, yes.
And those our ideas that we've developed and adopted are totally contrary to his reality.
That's right.
So it becomes difficult for us to recognize God
Yes, sir.
due to our conditioning. It's almost like a woman who has been abused
Yes.
and misused, especially by men and boys, to the point where she doesn't even realize what a good man looks or acts like.
Come on.
So when the perfect man even comes along,
Come on.
that ain't him. Because you got some idea of what a good man is, and that idea not even rooted in reality.
No, sir.
You see? So we miss our blessing. Same thing on our side, you know.
sir.
We got this idea of what the perfect woman is, and our ideas have been shaped by all these kind of cartoons and music videos and all of this kind of stuff. And we unrealistic now, huh?
Yeah, real.
But we've rejected salvation.
Yes, sir.
We've rejected the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whom God gave us. Say that again. God gave us this man, and he suffered and sacrificed like hell for us.
That's right.
And we barely even know who he is, because the enemy has practically tried to write him out of history.
That's
But
right.
God, in his mercy and in his love,
Yes, sir.
gave us another part of Elijah Muhammad and our brother, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Oh, yes. And we would be wise to take advantage of the wisdom and guidance that God has offered us. But the enemy worked to prevent the rise of a Messiah because he knows who and what the Messiah is and what he would do. He knows the prophecies better than us.
Yes, sir.
And that's why our government, or the U.S. government, has attacked and destroyed every major leader that came and tried to raise our level of consciousness.
That's right.
Because they were always on the lookout. So when anybody started showing signs like, oh, he might wake up these, let's do something to him. Marcus Garvey, Noble Drew Ilie, right here in Memphis, Ida B. Wells, our sister was doing some magnificent stuff, writing about and exposing the lynchings and the lynchers. And they ran her off, you know.
Yes, sir.
All of them. Dr. King, Paul Robeson, Malcolm X, and of course the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And I think it's important to note that no leader, no group has withstood more governmental attacks and scrutiny than the Nation of Islam and our leadership.
Never.
That's important for historical purposes, because if the U.S. government has put more energy and efforts to try to stop the Nation of Islam and our leadership, and we still here, maybe that should tell you something.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It should tell you something about the importance of what we have, that the enemy has utilized his resources against us, and we still here.
Still here.
No other group who have went through much less scrutiny, much less attacks from the government, and they were dismantled and destroyed and neutralized. But we've been here since the 30s, undergoing their surveillance, their attacks, their misinformation campaigns, their physical attacks.
That's right.
And the Nation of Islam is still here. If you think about it and actually think about it, you would likely draw the conclusion that there must be a true God with us somewhere.
Somewhere.
Because here's something you might not know. None of us are smart enough to handle this enemy.
Really?
As brilliant as we may think we are, and as good of people as we are, none of us in the Nation of Islam are powerful or good enough to withstand the attacks of this enemy. There has to be a God backing us up some kind of way.
Yes, sir.
Especially the way we talk and what we do. You got people with way more resources than we, and they ain't about to even think what we are saying and doing. So that's why Satan has always tried to attack the promise of God, because he knows the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, is intervening in our affairs. And that's why this is considered the most dangerous topic today by them.
Yes, sir.
It's correlated. Both the UFO topic, which is above top secret,
yes, sir,
as well as the Nation of Islam, who has withstood more disinformation campaigns from the government than any group. Is there a correlation? Absolutely.
Yes, sir.
See, notice how the enemy has performed such intense disinformation campaigns against both subject matters, UFOs and the nation. As long as the public does not know the truth about any of these, and certainly as long as the public doesn't know that these topics are directly related, then their job is done.
Yes, sir.
Then they are successful in their disinformation campaigns. You know, part of our next, I'm just giving you the heads up, part of the next series in Answered, our documentary series, which God has blessed us to be able to be successful with, all praises due to Allah. We've been able to produce 2 installments in the documentary series Answered, which heavily uncovers the truth about the UFO phenomena and the Nation of Islam,
yes, sir,
which are the primary subject matters that the U.S. government keeps above top secret. Look at it. Here's proof of the disinformation campaign. Now, this is a day and time when people are brilliant. They have access to information. Why is it that even among our intelligent people, I'm talking about black people, professors, scholars, historians, even people who are familiar with the Nation of Islam, why is it that most even scholars and thinkers among us don't know that the Nation of Islam is connected to the UFO phenomena?
Wow.
When it's documented.
Yes, sir. Heavily.
If you ask most people, most good-hearted people, again, these are people who have some familiarity with the nation. You know what I mean? Most black people got some type of interaction with the nation,
Yes,
you know.
sir.
So even the conscious folks that we look up to, why is it that they seem like it's like they don't even know? I've talked to many and they're like, damn, I didn't know y'all were into UFOs and stuff. Like, dude, we the one brought this to the world. See, that is the result of decades-long misinformation campaign.
Yes, sir.
That's why this is above top secret. You are the priority of the U.S. national security. You ever wonder why that lady, she's an Israeli diplomat, the Jewish lady, Judith Varner Shore. She's a consulate for Israel, and they work with U.S. leaders. And this white Jewish Israeli woman in a conference, and they got her on camera, it's a hidden camera, saying that basically the greatest threat to Israel, or the greatest problem to Israel, a foreign country now, are the black American youth.
That's what she said. Not Hamas.
Yeah. Not Hamas, not Hezbollah, you know, not none of these. The greatest threat to this white world power planted in the East. Yeah.
Go ahead, Professor.
Colony planted over there in the East. Their greatest problem are black American youth. Now think about this. Black American youth couldn't even tell you where Israel is on a map. Black American youth are so distracted, they don't even think Israel, who that is. Oh yeah, I know little Israel. He get out in May, don't he? You know? See? From their perspective, and her statement is only indicative of the leadership of white America.
Yes, sir.
You the problem.
Really?
You've always been the problem.
Yes, sir.
You are the problem of prophecy because God's promise is for you. And you know why Israel? She said that it's the greatest youth because Israel was established based on the lie that they are the promise of God when all along it's you. Yeah. And so now all this stuff going together. FBI, prevent the rise of a Messiah. Because the Messiah is coming up out of you.
Yes, sir.
Your condition is what breeds the Messiah. The problems of what they've done to you, see, they know this. So that's why you are the primary enemy or problem today. Because they know the prophecies better than us. I'm thinking about Ezekiel. You know, the book of Ezekiel, which is one of those books that is considered by many Jewish rabbis as the most dangerous scriptures of the Bible found in Ezekiel, particularly Ezekiel 1, which talks about the promise of which prophesies God's coming.
Yes, sir.
The same Ezekiel who sees God's intervention operating from some heavenly wheel-shaped aircraft. God and his angels having some type of warcraft that Ezekiel sees and describes as wheels and wheels within wheels that houses the throne of God. Heavily symbolic in many ways, but the learned rabbis, the white learned rabbis, for a long time have greatly anticipated these prophecies of Ezekiel of God's coming, and they consider it the most dangerous scriptures in the Bible. Now, why is it that white Jews learned rabbis consider the promise of God's intervention in human affairs, why do they consider that dangerous? Unless you know you the devil.
Yes, sir.
Come on.
For real.
Come on.
You know you are the devil who have masked under the holy titles of the people of God, and you know from the promise of Moses that one day your time is going to be up.
That's right.
You see? That's what it talks about when the devil was given time to rule for 6 days.
That's right. Come on.
And in the 7th day or the 7,000th year is when God's way will come and rule and reign. They understand that way better than we do. We got some fictitious idea. But in the book of Ezekiel, I'm going to run through some of them. In Ezekiel 1, it promises God's coming, where Ezekiel sees these visions of God. And he sees God coming with flying wheels. And it says, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel. And later he say above it he saw the likeness of the throne, and the likeness as the appearance of a man upon it and above it. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell upon my face, and I heard a voice of one that spake. These are different scriptures from Ezekiel 1, different verses. But a promise, God's coming. God is going to come with these flying wheels, him and his angels. Remember, he's the Lord of hosts. So he got armies flanking him.
That's right. That's right.
That's God's flex. And he's flexing for you. That's why the enemies are afraid. Now, their military powers and intelligence are afraid.
Yes, sir.
And he said this was the period. He see not only is he sees God, but God is a man.
That's right. That's right.
Y'all catch that part in these prophecies?
Yes, sir.
He doesn't see some spirit, formless, shapeless spirit. He sees a man God, a human God on this throne, housed in this wheel, flanked by these other wheels that the angels, the host of armies operate.
Yes, sir.
In the real world. These are prophecies. That's why Ezekiel saw visions of God. He didn't see this back then. He was given visions.
Yes, sir.
Prophecy. But then he said this was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. I want to talk about that glory of the Lord for a minute. That, like the Lord of hosts, that's another term you hear throughout the Bible, isn't it? The glory of the Lord and the glory of God.
Yes, sir.
So I always thought that the glory of the Lord meant, like, you know, his majesty, his goodness, in a sense, you know, and it does mean that, but that's not even the primary meaning of the glory of God. That term glory comes from another Semitic root word, kavod. Sometimes it's pronounced kabod. You know, the V and the B, those consonants interchangeable sometimes. Kavod, which is used for glory in the scriptures, is a word that literally means something that has weight and takes up space. The glory of the Lord refers to an object, a physical object of God, not just his characteristics as we've been led to believe, but the glory of the Lord literally is a physical vessel and object of God that has power that he utilizes. This is why all throughout the scriptures, especially in the Old Testament, this glory of the Lord, it moves. People see it. It changes colors. It makes sounds. It emits fire.
Come on.
It flies. The glory of the Lord is what Ezekiel sees. And it goes over the temple, and it left the temple. And God operating through physical objects. A man God.
Yes, sir.
The glory of the Lord. Maybe I should have named this the Lord of hosts, the glory of the Lord a threat to national security, huh? So maybe you keep that in mind next time you hear us preacher say, "Oh, glory to God."
Yes, sir.
But again, this is considered a top danger by the rabbis. Jewish rabbis, it is one of, if not the most secretive topic among Judaic studies. It is the most exclusive topic to the point where in rabbinical studies, they don't even let all their rabbis study this. They don't even talk about this prophecy in Ezekiel in the main Judaic congregations in the synagogue. This is considered the most dangerous topic. So dangerous that Jews have been known to go crazy, rabbis.
Wow.
Some have killed themselves and killed others because of this, of what they don't know about this topic that they call Merkabah. Merkabah is a term that the Jewish rabbis use to describe Ezekiel's wheel when it comes. They use that term Merkabah, and when you break it down etymologically, it literally refers to a feminine wheel object used by God.
Come on,
as
man.
in a mother wheel.
Mother wheel, come on.
See?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Now
sir.
this is terminology that the Jews have had and kept secret for millennia.
Yes, sir.
So you could imagine how Elijah Muhammad came on the scene talking about this mother plane, this mother wheel, and everybody, the whole world looking at him and us crazy as hell.
Yep.
Because this is before the UFO phenomenon. So they know, oh, them niggas crazy, boy. Talking about a mother wheel. While everybody else looking at us crazy, those learned ones are in the back like,
That's right. That's right. They know. They know.
see?
Yes, sir.
So I'm reminded of Professor Carl S. Ehrlich, a Jewish professor who studies rabbinical studies. I think he may be a rabbi as well. He's asked the question, how are we as Jews to understand Ezekiel's bizarre vision? Now he's calling the promise of God bizarre. You see how now these supposed to be the people who front as the people of God.
Yes, sir.
He said, how are we to understand Ezekiel's bizarre vision of the chariot in its historical context? What makes it so theologically dangerous? Here's a learned Jewish scholar calling the prophecy of God as stated in Ezekiel as dangerous. He says, what makes it theologically so dangerous in the eyes of the rabbis? Told you, these rabbis, they consider it the most dangerous scripture. And then he partially answers part of it. It details how Yahweh, or God, arrives in his chariot to speak with Ezekiel, or the servant of God. So here you have, they know that the presence of God, his intervention is signified by the presence of these wheels in the world. And these wheel, with this mother wheel or this Merkabah, is like the clear proof of God fulfilling these prophecies, which they consider the most dangerous. So you see how the learned know the scriptures and we still worry what Diddy did or didn't do? This. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a lesson in prophecy and a lesson in prophetic fulfillment. He said it like this. This is from Message to the Black Man. He said, but the so-called Negroes are blinded with a picture of the Jews' salvation and cannot see their own selves in prophecy. Talking about us. We thinking that the Jews are the ones, the people of God. He said, you're blinded by their lies, and you can't even see yourself in prophecy. You can't even see yourself as being the promise of God's love. He said they should shout, talking about us now, they should shout with joy over the understanding that God has and is causing me to give them of the book. If you knew better, you'd be shouting if you knew the prophecies of what God has for you and me as part of his promise. If you knew better. See, the enemy understands who Minister Farrakhan and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are better than anybody. And that's why they've done everything to cover up the truth that these men have given us. And don't you know, most of the time when I talk about the history of the modern UFO phenomena, I have to always give a quick rundown of the Nation of Islam and how God came in person, showed the Honorable Elijah Muhammad these wheels in the sky, showed it to him, gave him the most intricate details of it before the UFO phenomena even took place. This is in the early 30s, and how some 10 years later, in 1942, is when America and her armed forces first witnessed or encountered the wheel for themselves in an episode in history called the Battle of Los Angeles. This is another historic element that had literally been swept under the rug. But thanks to the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, through the time and what must be done, thanks to the research team of the Nation of Islam, we are the ones that brought this historical episode back to public attention when it comes to the Battle of Los Angeles. And even still, people can easily get conflated because the enemy since then has produced all kind of movies and documentaries and books using the same name as the Battle of Los Angeles, but they twisted it and made it fictionalized with aliens and all this kind of stuff. The actual historical event took place February 25th, 1942, just off the coast of Los Angeles, where some of these wheels came in and made themselves known, made their superiority known. Now keep in mind, this is 1942 in the aftermath of Pearl Harbor.
Yes, sir.
So America's armed forces, they are already on guard, especially over there toward the Pacific. That's where Pearl Harbor took place. So the Americas, like, they're on guard, ready for whatever. Well, almost whatever. Because these wheels came in and started stationing themselves amidst the cloud to the point where the U.S. Armed Forces came in and fired over 1,400 rounds of their heavy anti-aircraft artillery firing at these planes. I think it was one that was larger than some of the other ones, and the other ones were moving and dodging. But the fires, the missiles that they were shooting at these planes didn't do anything to them. The main plane that they were shooting at it was like these heavy anti-aircraft artillery that we're shooting at it, over 1,400 rounds, couldn't do anything to bring these planes down, these wheels down. That shook up America, that shook up the military, shook up the president, Franklin Delano Roosevelt at the time, to the point where there was an all-out investigation to try to find out who was behind these superior crafts that they couldn't bring down. They were wondering, could it be Japan? Could it be one of the foreign adversaries? But in all their research, they realized that nothing that America or any other country had could be as powerful and as superior as those crafts that they encountered over Los Angeles. So as a result, they started doing more research and realized that the only person on the planet who was already on record talking about these type of crafts that they had witnessed over Los Angeles was none other than the Nation of Islam, led at that time by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
So the FBI, So the FBI, under the direct orders of President Roosevelt, arrested Elijah Muhammad. And when the FBI arrested this man, see, this is a matter of national security. This is the top priority of national security. February of 1942. 2.5 months later, all of their investigations led to the arrest of Elijah Muhammad. And guess what the FBI questioned him about? First of all, let's back up a little bit. The FBI, they didn't go and arrest the Japanese leaders. They didn't go and arrest some foreign leaders. They didn't question the foreign leaders like, what y'all got? What y'all sent over there to do it? No. They arrested an unarmed black man from Georgia. And the only thing that this man says is that, yeah, I was taught by God in the person of Master Father Muhammad. So as the FBI interrogated the Honorable Elijah Muhammad about these wheels, they also interrogated him about the God of these wheels and his whereabouts.
That's right.
You find this consistent throughout the FBI files on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And here's what is so impressive is that the FBI is spending all of this time and taxpayer dollars and resources on the Nation of Islam and this unarmed black man. The Elijah Muhammad case files are so extensive and so replete with their concerns about him and the wheels that he represents that it is so obvious that the so-called UFO researchers you hear about and see on TV, especially the ones that already have worked in government and military defense intelligence, who are coming forth like they some damn whistleblowers. They have all of these documents. Some of them have even classified documents at their disposal.
Yes, sir.
Let alone the declassified files that you and I have access to. And in the declassified files that you and I can go and download from the Freedom of Information Act, you will see how the FBI treated Elijah Muhammad's connection to these wheels as a matter of national security, but you don't hear none of those damn so-called experts on UFOs even bring it up when it's in that document.
Yes, sir.
That lets you know, man, they're full of crap.
Come on, Professor.
You mean you so intelligent and you're so concerned about the truth of the UFO phenomena, these UAPs, these unidentified anomalous phenomena. We're going to set up programs and departments at the Pentagon, and we're going to study this thing, and we're going to look at the documents and the history, but the FBI files is right there. You don't even bring those up. The origin. See, this is when it gets like, okay, you just blatantly lying now.
Yes, sir.
This is why it's difficult for me as a thinker and as a researcher. It's hard for me to even start to respect that kind of scholarship.
Really?
It's like, come on, if you're trying to hide that damn bad, you make it hard for me to respect you, or respect your intelligence.
Come on, Professor.
Hell, your 12-year-old son or daughter can get on the internet, Freedom of Information Act,
Yes, sir.
and look at the declassified FBI files on Elijah Muhammad. And even though they got stuff redacted and blacked out to protect the names of certain people, you can still see that this is where the UFO phenomenon began with. But you never hear them bring that up, do you? See? That's because this is above top secret. I'm going to wind this thing down. Y'all all right? I'm reminded in some of the FBI files on the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, they showed their concerns of the destructive capabilities of these wheels, which are deemed a national security threat. They talk about how Elijah Muhammad predicts the destruction of America and the white man by fire, and how he teaches that black people are the original people who will one day rule. See, they know the prophecy, so this one we got to look out for right here. And then Elijah Muhammad's case files become so important. Remember, this is an unarmed black man. His followers to this day do not carry arms.
That's right.
Don't carry so much as a penknife. So clearly we couldn't be a threat to national security in that regard. But yet his case files in the FBI files are so concerning that the FBI is damn near pleading with both the State Department and the CIA with help on Elijah Muhammad's case. Professor Michael Lieb, that Brother Bridge mentioned earlier, a white Jewish scholar, he's passed on now, who wrote that book, The Children of Ezekiel. He is one of the few academics and scholars and historians that have been bold enough, or you don't have to be bold, who was fair enough to at least acknowledge the Nation of Islam's role in the UFO phenomena.
That's right.
Now, this is a white Jewish man who is a historian and an academic, and he's tracing the UFO phenomena, which he states that it's Elijah Muhammad and Minister Farrakhan who are the capstone of this mother plane UFO phenomena. He admits and acknowledges that. And he, too, looked at the FBI files, and it was he, Michael Lee, Professor Michael Lee, who stated, and I quote,
Come on.
"The FBI files on Elijah Muhammad are such that the mother plane becomes time and again the subject of close scrutiny." So here's a white man saying, like, look, I looked at the FBI files on Elijah Muhammad. Now, there are hundreds of pages of the declassified files. I forgot, maybe 800, I forgot. But when you look through them, he's like, whoa, time and time again, this mother plane thing keeps coming up.
Wow.
These wheels and the destructive nature of the wheels keep coming up. Where the FBI, the government, takes it seriously. So it's not a matter of, okay, that's just some belief, wild-eyed belief. No, this is your government using your taxpayer dollars and resources and decades studying this. So maybe if we have enough sense, it should be a priority in our eyes too.
Come on. Yes, sir.
But the Lord of hosts, the Lord of armies, has been and remains the priority of U.S. national security.
Yes, sir.
Making sure you don't know of the Lord of hosts that has come for you, and don't know nothing about the truth behind his armies and the aircraft that's part of his arsenal that's here on your behalf. This is why this subject matter has been the result of what's called a conspiracy of silence.
Wow.
Y'all heard that terminology before?
Yes, sir.
Conspiracy of silence refers to a collective behavior of a group of people that by unspoken consensus does not mention, discuss, or acknowledge a given subject. In other words, that's when a certain group or agency agree, like, look, this topic right here, can't nobody ever say nothing about it.
Wow.
Act like it don't exist. When it comes to UFOs and the Nation of Islam, which happens to be the title of our book.
Come on, come on.
When it comes to the subject matter of UFOs and the Nation of Islam, it's a conspiracy of silence. Name me one leader that has talked about it outside of those of us in the nation. Think you can't name too many journalists that have even questioned us about it. As many of the hundreds and hundreds of TV and radio shows that the Honorable Minister Farrakhan has been on over the last few decades, you're talking about hundreds. You're talking about thousands of lectures that have been put out where he's talking about the wheels and his connection to these planes. But when it comes to interviews, be it newspaper, radio, television, over all these decades, I can only find a handful of journalists who've even questioned him about it.
That's right.
And even when they question him, they move off of it real quick. I remember in 1996, Nightline, not Brokaw, not Jennings, Ted Koppel, yes. Ted Koppel asked the minister about the mother wheel, and the minister was like, yeah, they know it's true and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as the minister started going into it, oh, yeah, so thank you very much. And we're going to go to commercial. And yeah, that was during the time Independence Day came out.
Yeah, really.
So they were hoping, yeah, you believe in this stuff too, Brother Farrakhan, Mr. Farrakhan? Yes, it's true. Your governments know about it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, yes, thank you. Commercial break, please. I recall Martin Bashir,
That's right.
I think 2007, asked the minister something about his vision, and you can tell they asking him, hoping that they can try to make the minister look crazy.
Yeah.
But when the minister starts going in,
Hey.
go to commercial, do something. You see? I think Charlemagne the God asked him about it, or mentioned something about it, and that was just in passing on the Breakfast Club some years ago. And it may be one other thing. I remember the newspaper board asked him about it, but that was in private. So here you have arguably the most newsworthy topic. Now, your brother has a background in journalism too, you know. And in journalism, there are certain criteria that determines if a topic is considered newsworthy or not. And some of those criteria involve things like, is it timely? How does it impact humanity? Is it, vicinity, the local, regional relevance that it has? How does it impact? How relevant is it for human concerns and stuff? Now, this topic of UFOs and the Nation of Islam, especially the fact that we telling the world we have the answers to it, it hits the top of all those criteria of what's considered newsworthy. Yet you don't find this topic being discussed. The conspiracy of silence. So why is it that now, last year or two ago, you find the U.S. government finally admitting that these planes exist? Now, they're not going to go any further than that. All they're doing is just admitting that the planes exist. And so if you just now admitting that these circular crafts exist, that straight up means that you've been straight up lying since at least the 1940s. For 70 plus, almost 80 years, you've been straight up lying to the public. So now you're going to come clean. No. When the government does things like that, that too is a trick. That is an intelligence operation that I heard my brother Dr. Wesley first talk about, and it's called a limited hangout.
Yes.
And when I researched it, and if you look it up, a limited hangout, it's a U.S. intelligence strategy of admitting some of the truth while still managing to withhold the key and damaging facts of the case. So in other words, when the government comes forth and they admit just a little bit of truth, oh yes, we admit that these crafts are real, and they've been around, and it is a priority of ours, and we're trying to get to the bottom of it. And they fly at phenomenal speeds. They seem to they exhibit superior capabilities, and and they were forced to even admit that. Y'all know why they admitted it? It was because I ain't gonna say all, but too many of their military personnel, especially pilots, were seeing these crafts daily.
That's right.
On a regular basis. And these wheels had been exhibiting superior capabilities to the point where the pilots are like, well, hell, I can't do nothing to them. So the least I can do is try to report them to my superiors. So when these pilots tried to report these daily sightings and sometimes encounters to their superiors, now they would get on the pilots like, shut up, don't you ever. So it got to a point where it became so cumbersome, so pervasive, that the pilots kind of broke rank and were like, look, let me go to some congressmen or something in the Senate. And so that's how Congress and the Senate got involved. Like, come on, military, y'all. You know this is a concern. We can't keep hiding it now.
That's right.
So now the government comes forth, you know what? There's some planes that exist. There's some circular planes, and they're superior.
That's right.
Boy, I tell you, we're going to get to the bottom of it, and we'll let you know.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a limited hangout. And see, the reason that they even shared that is hoping that the public will gain some level of trust in the government now. As though the government is now being transparent. They're going to help us get to the bottom of this thing. And so when the government does that in a limited hangout, they use it like a bait and switch. Now that the government might have the public's attention, now they're going to disclose something. People, we're going to disclose the truth about it. We've never done this before. This is going to be breakthrough, groundbreaking. And when they disclose what they disclose, it's going to be something totally crazy. They're going to tell you some damn aliens. Or, here's what they might do. They're going to tell you, the truth is, we've had secret operations that are highly superior. And so we've had black budgets and things like that, you know, and we just didn't want to interfere with that aspect of our military. So it was us all along. It was a secret CIA program. You can rest assured, don't have nothing to worry. So anything but the truth.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Here's the thing about the enemy, and I noticed this in the FBI files. They don't even care what lie you believe, as long as you don't believe the truth. That's real. You notice, I noticed when the Savior, Master Farrakhan Muhammad, was among us in the 30s, he was disrupting Satan's world and powers, because here you have this light-skinned, white-looking man raising up all these poor black people in Detroit.
That's right. That's right.
Empowering them, giving them a level of confidence like white folk ain't never seen before.
That's right.
So they realized that Master Farrakhan Muhammad is the leader of these Negroes, as they would call them. And what you doing raising these black people? You know, black people got a newfound confidence, a new status in life, talking about how they the original man and all of this. So during the time that the Savior was among us, even though the authorities didn't like him and like what he was doing for black people, they referred to him as a fakir.
Yes.
Which is an Eastern term referring to a person from the East, normally a Muslim, but the type of Muslim that takes vows of poverty and abstains from like material, worldly things and focuses on purity and peace. One of those kind of people. That's what the white authorities called Master Farrakhan Muhammad in their newspapers and in their reports. They called him a fakir because what he was doing for black people was giving to them. He wasn't taking advantage of them.
Come on.
You see?
Come on.
So, but notice, almost 30 years later, in 1959, the FBI put forth this disinformation campaign, and now they changed their whole story and everything on Master Farrakhan Muhammad.
Yes, sir.
When he was among us, they wrote and published that he's this fakir, helping black people and, you know, not taking nothing from them, but giving them stuff, which is true. But now all of a sudden in 1959, the FBI puts forth a mass misinformation campaign using the press to help them. And now they're saying all this stuff about Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And they had about 17 different lies just about his origin.
Yes, sir.
This is the point I'm making. They don't care what lie you believe as long as you don't believe the truth. Yes. If you look at it now, they came up with that Wallace Dodd Ford stuff.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So you come now, they'll tell you, well, Farrakhan Muhammad was this person. Some dude named Wallace Dodd Ford, some white man that's some criminal and drug peddler, petty thief, and all of that kind of stuff. And now in 59, they telling the world, this is who Master Farrakhan Muhammad is. They ain't say none of that while he was among us, because they made it up. And then they made up about 17 different origin stories about Master Farrakhan Muhammad. Now, he told us that he came from Mecca.
That's right.
That's what the Elijah Muhammad showed us.
Yes, sir.
But if you listen to all of them, he's Pakistani, he's Indonesian,
That's right.
he's from Turkey,
Come on.
he's from, what's that, Maori tribe down in Australia.
Yes, sir.
Somebody say he's a white guy from Portland.
Really?
No, he's a white guy from California. Literally about 17 different origin stories. The point is, they don't care what lie you believe, just don't believe the truth.
Come on, man. Yes, sir.
You cannot believe the truth of the God that came to save you.
Wow.
That's right.
That's a subject in and of itself right there.
Don't believe the truth.
But we're going to bring this thing to a close. I'm going to leave with these words from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad from Message to the Black Man. This is what all this is about. He said, today, we see the white race preparing for the sky battle to determine who shall remain and rule this earth, black or white. That's what all this is about.
That's what it is. That's it.
You see the militaries and government scrambling, and all that stuff is related. The stuff going on in the East, all of it is related because they think they can fight God. That's the mind of Satan. That's the mind of Pharaoh, despite seeing the evidence of God's power. Pharaoh was like, I'm still going to get these niggas. I'm going to fight God. He didn't say it like that, but that's what it's talking about. Herod in the New Testament, same thing. You see the signs of God, but I'm still going to kill the Messiah. You see?
That's right.
So this is what we're dealing with. He said, today we see the white race preparing for the sky battle to determine who shall remain and rule this earth, black or white. They know that their time is up. They know that their world is ending.
Yes.
And this is why, as black folk, this is really the most important topic we could be discussing.
Come on.
Because let's be honest, black people, with all of our talk, what you gonna fight the white man with? Real talk.
Nothing.
Now this cracker has nuclear arsenal.
Come on.
He can blow up countries.
Yes, sir.
What even black or African country has something comparable?
Hey, come on.
Let alone black America, black youth, who's the problem of Israel and the world.
Come on, man.
What are you going to fight them with? See, when you actually think about that and be real, you know good and well you don't have anything to fight this white man.
No.
That's right.
But God does.
Yes, sir.
This is why it is absolutely essential that you know for certain that there is a God with real military power that can tackle your enemies for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
The reason God wants you to know this is so that you don't even have to worry about that part
Come on, man.
of the
Come on.
fight.
Come
You don't
on.
have to be sitting over here fretting and worrying about, oh, how I'm going to fight against the white man's nuclear weapons. God got that part. You just worry about the part that he gave for you.
Yes, sir.
You worry about cleaning up and unifying and doing something for yourself and standing with his servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. I think that's my time, brothers and sisters. Thank y'all for listening. May Allah bless you. Assalamu alaikum. All praises due to Allah.